Urban conservative. Urban conservative.
And that's all leads back to control. The government controls what we eat. They control what we think. They control what we feel. And then we wake up one day and be like, damn, I got...
Urban conservative. Urban conservative. Urban conservative. Urban conservative. Urban conservative.
But isn't that American dream? That American dream is... Because there's more people that live that type of fucking American reality. But isn't that American dream? That American dream is. Because there's more people that live that type of fucking American reality. But isn't that American dream? That American dream is. Because there's more people that live that type of fucking American reality.
Q9, my food time, hold it up and smoke it. Transgression, a progression of a war we ain't asked for. Transgression, a progression of a war we ain't asked for. It's madness, yo. All the things that we could talk about.
Call it.
But let's talk about these urban circumstances real quick.
And basically it's the, and
we got this.
so
Revolutionary.
Frosty hand. Muhammad is the fame's name, forever stand.
Standing on royal fusing of justice for the few, ridiculed by the pale terrorists bent on genocidal obsession, rooted in fear of neglection and abandonment, fueled by nightmares of ancestors' jealousy.
Because at the end of the day, I still want to be able to I don't dislike George Washington.
The kind of friends I think all friends should be like my friends. My friends are the kind of friends I think everyone needs. My friends see the things at times I don't see. My friends hate the police.
What has changed?
Are deemed the criminals, and the blacks are deemed the criminals.
shut up and help.
Reflection ain't nothing but the inner child trying to see you. You gonna look? You gonna pick up that book?
Lord, keep me far from the faith. Guide me through night and day. Teach me your ways. Show me the righteous way to sway. Lord, can you teach me, please? Show me the way, I'd say. Grand Risings, and welcome back to another episode of the Urban Conservative with Chaz Neal. We're excited to have you join us on this journey of thoughtful discourse and community engagement. The Urban Conservative is proudly sponsored by the Leon Block Network, an organization committed to promoting transparency, truth, and accountability in our media landscape. Here at the Urban Conservative, our mission remains steadfast: to bring you the latest news directly from the streets, addressing critical topics such as gun violence, crime, politics, and perhaps most importantly, exploring solutions to the profound challenges our communities face. As we embark on this third season, the focus is clear. It's time to actively contribute to the transformation of our communities for the better. How can we achieve this? The answer lies in a multifaceted approach that starts with reconnecting with our core family values. Strengthening our sense of community is paramount. Fostering bonds that transcend the barriers that often divide us. Moreover, it involves embracing our foundational roots, recognizing the historical and cultural threads that weave through the fabric of our society. In this season, we're calling for more than words. We seek action. It's a plea to move beyond mere rhetoric and engage in tangible, impactful initiatives that contribute to positive change. The time for empty words has passed. Now more than ever, we need to put our convictions into action. Together, united by a common purpose, we can make a substantial and lasting difference in the well-being of our communities. So join us on this journey as we explore not only the challenges, but also the opportunities for growth and progress. Together, let's turn our shared vision for stronger, safer, and more connected communities into a reality. Thank you for being a part of the Urban Conservative with Chaz Neal, a platform dedicated to fostering change and making a positive impact on the world around us. Shut up and help. Good morning, 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 good morning. So today, border battles, Biden's bold bill, or is it backtracking? And I'm going to get on this in a more scale. When I talk about border battles, I'm talking about the battles that are within our own borders as well. I'm not just talking about the immigration issue, because we got a Black issue here too in America. And that's something that needs to be discussed. And I think a lot of people are deflecting and distracting from what the main goal is, right? It's not, the goal isn't, because I can tell you right now, the goal isn't to get Trump president, because what is that going to do? Black communities, right? Trump can't change local policy. So, but you know, it's Black History Month, and you know, all this month, I have highlighted an individual from our past who did remarkable things. And this morning, I wanted to talk about Charles Richard Drew, who was born on June 3rd, 1904, and left a great mark as an American surgeon and medical trailblazer. His groundbreaking research in blood transfusions revolutionized medical practices, particularly in the crucial arena of blood storage. Amidst the backdrop of World War II, Drew's expertise played a pivotal role in establishing large-scale blood banks, an innovation that proved instrumental in saving thousands of Allied forces' lives. Beyond his scientific contributions, Drew stood out as the most prominent African-American figure in his field. His commitment to justice and equality was evident as he vehemently protested against racial segregation and blood donation. Drew's principled stance stemmed from the understanding that such discriminatory policies lacked a scientific foundation. In a bold move, he resigned from his position with the American Red Cross, and an organization that upheld segregationist practices until 1950. Charles Drew's legacy extends far beyond the realm of medicine. He serves as a symbol of resilience, advocacy, and progress. His unwavering commitment to dismantling discriminatory practices paved the way for a more inclusive and equitable future. As we reflect on Black history, Charles Drew's contributions stand as a testament to the power of knowledge, courage, and the pursuit of justice. So I have shared that Charles Drew story and background on my Charles Neal page. If you go look that up, please share. There's other great things on there too. And so let's kick this off, man. I want to kick this off, and there is, so I've seemed to be more on Twitter lately, more than I have been on Facebook. The only reason why you're seeing me live on Facebook is honestly because of StreamYard. It just seems to me that more people are involved. And when I say involved, I mean more involved technology-wise, social media-wise, right? But just I be in a lot of spaces, from Democrats to Republicans, from white, Black, it doesn't even matter. And it really trips me out because I hear the same rhetoric, right? I hear the same fear mongering. I hear the same type of demonizing being done, just on a different scale this time, because, you know, in 2020, it was the Democrats calling the Republicans, you know, oh, they're racist, they just want to lock y'all up. But since 2020, we have learned that Mr. If you don't vote for me, you're not black was authored the 1994 Crime Bill Act, Mr. Joe Biden, right? So now we come to 2024. It's a whole nother presidential election, right? But it's not just presidential, right? Because you have other people that are running, and we've learned more about their history. We've learned facts, not narratives, right? We haven't heard, we learned the truth, right? So we learned the truth about Amy Klobuchar. We've learned the truth about Mayor Jacob Fry, whatever the hell his name is, right? We've found out about Cedric Frazier, Bobby Joe Champion. And yet, are we going to allow these people to remain in office? Or are we going to stand up? They're going to remain in office. And it doesn't matter if we stand up or not, because they're writing legislation. They've already passed legislation to replace us, right? They don't give a fuck about us. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about, is how they're replacing us. And people got to understand it, because they are literally, and people go, oh, this nigga racist. I don't care what y'all call me. Fact is fact. If you want to, you can call me names, but at least do what I'm doing and showing what I'm talking about. You can call me whatever you want in the book, right? But when I sit here and I put it out for you on paper, what these people are writing in their own words, not mine, their own words, you can't call me a racist for calling out shit that is bad for my community, that is bad for my people. I'm sorry, you can't. Because when here's literally, and I'm going to tell you why, because when Leah Finke sit here and calls people, oh, you guys are transphobic, for actually calling out facts and then pointing it on paper, and y'all still want to call us transphobic or we're homophobic, it ain't got nothing to do with that, when all we're saying is keep your hands off our kids. Don't write legislation for kids, because y'all said to us, don't get in women's business. Well, don't get in our child's business. Keep your hands off our children. That's all I care about at the end of the day, because you're writing things for our children who are children. That's what I get pissed about. And people can call me whatever they want to call me. But at the end of the day, stop making choices for us parents, right? Because the legislation that you're writing, these policies are hurting our children. And I wish our parents would have woken up and seen the things that were going on that were going to hurt us. Instead of, it wasn't helping us. All that, the welfare, the Section 8, the No Child Left Behind shit. Man, come on now. Because I hear my parents all the time telling me, damn, I wish I would have did this differently. Damn, I wish I would have did that differently. Well, you can now. You can now. You can do something now. Instead of sitting back and watching your grandkids die, right? Or watching your grandkids go through the things that they're going through, and you can do something about it. You can do something about it. That's what's so great about America, because we talk about the land of free, but we don't talk about what that free means, right? Because we do have rights. We do have a democracy. America is a democracy. But when you don't understand that democracy, how are you supposed to change things, right? How are you supposed to change democracy if you don't know what democracy even looks like, or if you don't even know what freedom looks like? How are you supposed to change it? That's what I really want to ask people. So I'm going to play this video, and I'm going to tell you right now, this lady gets deep. I don't want people to be like, oh, she talking bullshit. Just be open-minded and listen, because that's what it comes down to, is being open-minded and listen. That's it. You don't have to agree with her, but just listen.
It's always a blessing to see and listen to people who understand how dangerous democracy is. Listen to
the Democratic Party, they promote Black women, particularly if she's a lesbian. Yes. They promote Black women who are not even qualified. We have seen with the diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is really racism, which is really saying, well, Black people just, darn it, they're not smart enough, so we have to give them handouts. And you're pushing Black women who are not qualified. Dr. Claudine Gay of Harvard, now the head of diversity at Harvard, is also accused, if I have it correctly, of plagiarism. And we'll get to Fannie Willis, who was elected as a DA in Fulton County, Georgia, primarily because she's Black, in my opinion. And we've seen case after case. But the Black man, where is he? That's done deliberately. And this started really in the 60s, where the Democrats pushed policy, right, that said to women, particularly Black women, you don't need a man in the home. We'll give you more money if you're single. And I grew up in the 70s and I saw the effects. I saw it in the 80s, the broken home. Now it's more dysfunctional home where you have some women with 8 children by 5 different fathers. They don't know who their fathers are, in and out. It has almost destroyed the Black community, but they're doing it in a different way now. They're promoting Black women and want Black men to be down here. And I think Black men sense that, and they know that Trump relates to them. They relate to Trump very well. The evil Barack Obama.
Barack Obama is a foot soldier.
Oh yeah, for the globalists. Elite. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Barack Obama was a plant.
Yes. He was.
So now they want to put Michelle.
Barack Obama was a plant. He did nothing for the Black community.
Nobody even knows who he is.
Did he ever come back to Chicago with as much crime to talk to young Black men? He doesn't give a damn.
He doesn't.
Barack Obama is a curse on this nation. So is Joe Biden.
I think it's the Black.
We provided the money for his Marxist socialist programs, pushing abortion in Africa and other things. He didn't care about us.
No.
He didn't care. That gave rise to Trump, because Trump actually listened to us. He actually cares. Many of us, I mean, it was bad. At least Bill Clinton BS and said, I feel your pain. But at least he said it. Barack Obama didn't give a damn. He should have never been elected. Before he was elected in 2000, he got elected in 2008. My mother said, may God rest her soul, letters to Black churches, warning them about Barack Obama, saying he was so ungodly. I said, Mom, that's harsh. She wrote it anyway. And everything my mother said, may God rest her soul, was right. He hates this country, but he wants to live off the fat of the land. Like the founders of Black Lives Matter, they don't give a damn about Black people. They didn't have to spend one dime to help build a Black business. But these lesbians, they bought homes in predominantly white neighborhoods. See, they say they hate capitalism, but they love to use us and live off of capitalism while they spout an anti-God, anti-America rhetoric.
So right. They got you in a
Black community. They put us in danger. No, not all Black people are drug dealers or this or that, but you're harming the average Black who lives in an area that is high crime. When you talk about defund the police, and we saw the other day in New York City, you had illegals beating up NYPD officers. That went viral. But under Trump, something like that would have been dealt with. He would have now immediately. Alvin Bragg, from what I understand, helped them to get out.
no bail.
Yeah,
They got their
no bail. There is a concern among Democrats that the vote for Trump is hardening within the Black community. It's solidifying. It's not just a passing fancy. And I think Democrats, both Black and white, Blacks, particularly Black men, are drawn to Trump.
Okay, I want to talk about this before I go on, because she talks about how Black men are voting for Trump, right? But what I don't hear in that statement is, I'm all fine and dandy with people voting for Trump, right? It's all fine and dandy. But where is the local candidates, right? Where is the local candidates in this? Because if we're going to change shit that's going in our own backyards, where is the promoting of local candidates? Because I don't hear none of these people talking about them throwing their hat into the ring, right? I don't hear none of that. All I hear them talking about is, oh, we got to vote Donald Trump. But if we don't get things done locally, it doesn't matter if we change things at the top, because our U.S. Constitution, right? You guys got to remember, America is a Fortune 500 company, basically, right? We are literally, we're not. That's the weird thing about America, United States of America, because we're literally a corporation, right? So when it comes to changing things, you have a legislative body, you have a voting body. That's why we have the House, we have the Senate, and then we have the president, which is executive, right? We have executive, legislative, and judicial. People have to understand what this means. Trump only has executive powers. He can't change shit in Chicago. He can't change shit in Minneapolis, right? So voting for just Donald Trump isn't going to do anything locally if we're not pushing local and trying to teach people locally, because that's what I see going on. I don't see education. It's just like 2020 all over again. They want blind people following them, right? They want blind followers. They don't want people that are going to do research, because I see that. Because when they get questioned, they do exactly what BLM dudes do, right? What the BLM leaders do, they want to call you names. So it goes quick to disrespect. When you calling them out on their bullshit, they quick to go call you names, right? Oh, I'm sure he is. And at the end of the day, you know what one crazy thing is, Robert, is me and you have some great conversations, and I understand that, but trying to get my people, my community, to understand that is way harder than what I ever thought. Imagine. Growing up, I was always taught that truth prevails. The truth shall set you free. But damn, how hard you gotta work to get to the truth. Like I don't understand that. Like, that's one thing that really trips me out, and it makes me wonder, is like, why is the truth so hard to come by? Why is the truth so hard to tell? I will never understand it, because we get lied to all day, every day, and it just seems like we're okay with living with lies. That we're, it's just something that I will not. I don't get. I don't understand. It's a shame to me, because I don't see people out there trying to educate at all, and that's what bugs me. It's like everybody wants that feel good shit, but nobody wants to do the education behind it. Even when it comes to Palestine, I'm going to call this shit for what it is, because everybody want to be out here talking about free Palestine, but don't nobody want to educate themselves behind Palestine. Even when it comes to the people behind Israel, it's the same shit. Go educate your fucking self. Damn.
My bad. My fingers are slipping.
You good. But I just want people to educate themselves, because it seems like it's that feel-good shit all over again, and I'm tired of it. I want to feel good, but I also want to be able to see that reflection on the streets. I want to be able to see that shit, what we're reading. Genius. Man, if you don't stop messing with my damn...
Oh man, I'm on my phone. That's why.
Yeah.
I was gonna jump in, but I'm also trying to listen to you too, because you wanted something. I'm always on.
Right.
We generally on the same page, just present things in different ways. So So I'm gonna let you rock. My finger keeps tapping the freaking screen. I apologize, but I'm gonna let you continue.
No, because it just makes me like, all I think about is, in my mind, it was the things that I've learned, and even going back to Malcolm, going back to Marcus Garvey, going back to Nat Turner, You hear if you don't know where you come from, you're not going to understand where you're going. It's just like when we sit here and we go places, right, that we don't know where we're going. What do we use? We use our GPS. Or back in the day, we used the map. That's what our Constitution is. It's a roadmap. It's a roadmap. And I don't hear nobody out here talking about the Constitution. Beyond, you know what's crazy? I do hear people talking about it, but those people are ignored. The Robert Johnsons, the Chaz Neils, the John Tell Tolans, right? People that are actually out here trying to educate, we get shunned because they don't want to hear none of that.
We're weird and we say things that don't make sense to people. And when it does make sense to people, it scares them. So they try to ignore it. What point would it serve for the things that we're saying to be popularized if it means that it decimates the current status quo? They can't have that. And they don't really have to do anything. The status quo upholds it. Like, the things that we think may be deemed radical when it's really not when people sit and think about it, but we get that label, and that label is what'll help uphold the narratives of the status quo.
It's because they're indoctrinated to believe that way, though.
Exactly.
And that's the one thing that I'm really starting to see, that even these people that say they're so woke, right? And I'm going to say names: the Jonathan Masons, the Cortez Rices, my son, the Generals, the Tamika Mallory's, right? The NAACP. They sit there and they talk about, oh yeah, let's talk about Black American history. But the whole time, why do these people putting on events talking about African diaspora, African Nouveau? And I know I just said that the Nouveau, right? It's like reminiscent of African things. It ain't got nothing to do with Black Americans, excuse me. That's all fine and dandy. Y'all want to do things for Africa. I get it. That's respectfully, I get that. But can we talk about the Charles Drews? Can we talk about the Nat Turners? Can we talk about people that y'all don't want to tell us about? Before we start knowing about things that we can't even understand, or we don't even know if that's where we came from. That's silly as hell to me, because I'm 46 years old, and I just found out about one of my ancestors this year. And yeah, partly that's my family's fault, but a lot of that's my fault. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because if people did their research into their family trees, I guarantee you they're going to find an injustice. They're going to find an injustice because I did. And I wasn't even looking for it. It was just brought to my attention. And I was like, wait, what do you mean, Dad? Yeah, your uncle was executed not once, but twice as a teenager, and was innocent. I'm going to say that again. Was executed not once, but twice, and was innocent. 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 Now tell me that, and how many other people that we lost like that for the simple fact that they were just looking at a white woman. Or they were like, next thing he was up, get a rope. Like, damn. Y'all could sit there and look at our women, but the minute we look at fine wine, berry wine, it's a problem. That shit, I never understood that. I never understood that. It was, but then as you learn, they didn't even want us having vanilla ice cream because it was pure.
Unless it was 4th of July.
Damn, that shit was crazy. And that's why we got butter pecan. And it was like, this shit just blew it just even. But it's like, where the lady talks about plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that yesterday with Alex Haley. Y'all got to pay attention. These people will literally plagiarism to make their shit better. And we don't, and you know, at the end of the day, people can say whatever they want, they can think whatever they want. I'm not telling y'all to vote another way. I'm not telling you to think another way. I'm just trying to put it out there another way than what they're putting it out there. Because I want people to be thinkers. Because that's one thing that this world doesn't want, this country doesn't want, is a nation of thinkers. That's one thing they don't want. They want a nation of workers.
And that's exactly why the things that we discuss and talk about aren't exactly trending on Twitter, because it involves critically thinking, it involves discussing and analyzing and sharing information, which isn't always exactly popular. It doesn't mean that we can't do our duty to put out those narratives and people can adhere to them if they choose to. Um, we're doing our part. That's what, in my opinion, what matters, partially.
You right, and I will say it like this, man. I don't know how much longer, and I'm gonna say this is to Rochester, Minnesota, right? I don't know how much longer I can be articulate before I start being disrespectful to even people that I personally know. Because what Rochester did last night,
I mean, you could be both.
hell no. You know what's crazy?
You could be articulate and disrespectful. I think it calls for it's a nice combination, if you ask me.
Right. Well, yeah, that's probably where the point is going to be, but it's going to be where it's going to start being disrespectful because, I treat others how they treat me, right? And when I reach out to people and I ask them what's going on, because I don't understand it, how I can pull something from the city charter in Rochester, send it to people, and y'all don't even use it. Y'all don't bring it up or anything like that. And now you have a law in Rochester, Minnesota, where being homeless is a crime. Being homeless is a
Wow.
crime.
Say what?
Yeah. 90 days in jail or $1,000 fine. If you are caught camping out in Rochester, Minnesota, that is a crime. Yeah. But yet, if you are an immigrant who just came over here, driver's license, they'll get your housing,
Mm.
but they don't give a fuck about us. That's why they're taking away the treatment centers. That's why they're taking away the youth centers. They don't give a fuck about us, man. And that's why I want to educate people. I want to educate people because there is a way that we can fight back. It doesn't always have to be at the voter polls.
Right.
It could be at the recall polls, though. Because there's recalls. Malfeasance, nonfeasance. It's about ethics. People have to understand what ethics is too, because there's a lot of things that these people do that are unethical, are a conflict of interest. So people have to understand that there is ways that we can fight back. And I'm starting to see people are not educated enough to be able to fight back. Because I'll tell you right now that there's a group on Facebook called True North Minneapolis Legacy. And a lady put up a post asking that she's, unsatisfied with her council member. And is there a way that there's to recall, or is there a way to get them out of there before the next election? Yeah, it's called a recall. And I told the lady, I put it all out there. If you want help, reach out to me. I will help you. These are things that I want to push people to be able to do, because that's what democracy is. That's what our Constitution gives us the right to do. That's what the Minnesota Constitution, that Minneapolis City Charter gives you the right to do. As we, the people, how the preamble is written in every constitution, every city charter. You know what it starts off with? We the people. And who's the people? Us. And what's crazy that what's that group? You gotta fight the power. Come on, man. It was crazy is people were putting it in songs and people weren't even paying attention. You gotta fight the powers that be. Even with you gotta fight fire with fire. Do people really understand? That doesn't mean picking up a gun and shooting somebody. That's the cowardly way. Let's fight them the legislation way. Let's put their own words back in their face to let them know that we know they lying. That y'all done played us for years. For years. Because how is it? I'm gonna tell y'all something right now, right? That if people go back, the 1994 crime bill is coming up a lot lately, right? So I'm gonna bring up another key factor of that 1994 Crime Bill Act, right? Consent decrees. Consent decree. And let me ask y'all this, right? Because I want people to answer, and I bet you I'm only going to have one person that answers on here, right? And that's probably going to be Robert or Ruth. Probably two people, Robert or Ruth. How many law enforcement agencies that are on consent decrees have actually got off that consent decrees? All right, that's question number one. Question number two. How much has New Orleans spent in the last 10 years just on because of their consent decree? And I'll leave it at that. This is all both the questions that I asked are public knowledge, Googleable questions.
I mean,
what
you getting at though?
Well, what I'm getting at, I'm going to show people something that it's all a money. This shit is not about change. It's all a money grab. People got to understand what it is. How can you have something that has no metrics of what success or failure looks like? That's basically what every program in America looks like. There is no measure of success or failure. Real shit, right? And I'm going to tell you this. If you look up New Orleans, and I've looked this up, is that, and I want somebody to be like, oh, no, you're wrong. No, I'm not. Go look it up. In the last 10 years of New Orleans consent decree, they have spent an extra $250 million on their police department. And that's extra than what they're already on their budget. So, and that's been, if you look at that in statistics of any city that's been on a consent decree, every police budget has gone anywhere up between 12 to 15%. And then here's the thing of it is, they literally pay these monitoring groups to come in here and to monitor the police departments. I thought that's what the feds were supposed to do.
Yeah, but we can't trust them anyway. I mean,
I'd
rather pay an ordinary person. But
okay. Why are we going to pay an ordinary person when the ordinary groups that they try to give us are ex-police groups?
Yeah, the groups that they try to give us. I'm talking about ordinary people like you and me.
I was just about to get into that, Robert, because that's exactly where I was going with it. If you look at any of even the programs that they're doing, because thank you, Robert, they just talked about it on Camo J Community Conversations just on Sunday, of the influx of money that is going to come into Minneapolis. And they talk about it in broad daylight, and people don't even understand it. They don't even understand it because somebody, so that's where that money's coming from, 17 billion. No, sir. That's Minneapolis. What's the state money got to do with city money? That's two different entities, sir. That's coming out of city money. That's extra money that they have to put up because of these consent decrees. And yet I'm telling y'all, if y'all look it up, any city that's on a consent decree, any city, and look how bad their numbers have gotten. Look at how, if any have changed any reforms, have any police brutality that's gone down, because they haven't. Not any of them. Not any of them. So what does success and what does failure look like? Because that's why there's no metrics. And that's why they're able to promote these programs, because they can sit there and say it's a success, because there's nothing to show what success or failure looks like. There's no metrics. That's why when you've seen it in the summer of 2021 and they were promoting all these numbers about how the violence was going down in Minneapolis, right? Why did out of all of that, they didn't go with the group that had the best numbers? Because Black Lives in the Streets in that area of 36th and Penn that summer, after the 3 babies were shot, violence went down 68%. It wasn't like that nowhere else where other groups were doing it. But who got shut out? The group that was doing the most. So make it make sense to me. And if I'm lying, I'm dying, man. Fox 9 did an article about that shit. 68% violence went down that summer. And it was because of community engagement. It was because the founder of Black Lives in the Streets understood of what you had to do to actually make change in your community. And that's why I respect Marcus X so much, for the simple fact of that he understood that to be able to get change, you got to be out there. You got to be in the belly of the beast, because you're not going to get change sitting in an office just talking about it. You got to be out there with the people, because the streets change. It's like a wave. It's like an ocean. It's like a lake. The flow changes. It can go fast, it can go slow, it can shift. You got to understand what you're playing with. And to be honest, our people that we elect nowadays are disfranchised from our communities. They don't understand our communities because they're not from there anymore. You know, they don't live where we live. They don't go what we go through, because they have salaries for basically doing nothing. They get kickbacks to making sure that their nonprofit buddies keep them in office. It's a cold game. It's a cold game. But I wanted to get into one more video, because this is this explains. Yeah, I'm gonna just get into it, because Buddy got deep, and this is a state. This
New York vote.
In New York City, I believe they passed a law. Luckily, we don't have that law in Nassau County, but in the city.
She's not. Listen to this.
I'm astounded. Can illegal immigrants in New York vote?
In New York City, I believe they passed a law. Luckily, we don't have that law in Nassau County, but in the city council and mayoral races, I believe illegal aliens recently have been given the right to vote.
Let me follow up with that. So if you are of the persuasion we need more of them, and they're aligned with your politics, let's say on the Democrat side, is it to your benefit?
Oh, damn.
She's not lying.
But I have to say something, because George, I'm old enough to say this.
Damn it, I messed up.
I've seen 2 movements outside of the social justice movement.
Listen to this.
I'm astounded. Can illegal immigrants in New York vote?
New York City, I believe they passed a law. Luckily, we don't have that law in Nassau County, but in the city council and mayoral races, I believe illegal aliens recently have been given the right to vote.
Let me follow up with that. So if you are of the persuasion we need more of them, and they're aligned with your politics, let's say on the Democrat side, is it to your benefit if you live in those areas where illegals are casting their vote for you politically? Is it to your benefit to have these ideologies that just allow more to come in regardless of the cost? Do you see that there are some, we'll say, Democrats that would want this type policy because it helps them stay in office because they have illegals that vote for them?
It definitely changes the voting pool in favor of those who would let anybody in.
Listen to this.
So I'm not gonna call them won't call them aliens, right? But God damn it, Jesus Lord, man. And this is where for me it bugs me, right? Because this is nobody's land. So to say that they're illegals, when no, we're all basically illegals. In my eyes, we just have American citizenship and they don't. Is there really a safe way to even say any of this shit? Truth is truth. Not, when the words that they teach us, what migrants mean, or what immigrants means, and it's all about wording. That's all I can say. It's all about wording, because if you're telling us that they're migrating, well, migrating is migrating to a border to border, or somewhere within inside that border. That's not what they're doing. These are people coming from at the end of the day, I don't care about going to war, because my community has already been at war the whole time I've been alive. So I think a lot of people already feel like that. So I'll just come out and say it. For me, it's about, you have people that want to hurt America, not because of us, but because of our officials and their agendas, right? Maybe it has to do with religion, politics. At the end of the day, I could really care less, right? It's about them not liking a system, which we don't like that system. And sometimes that system hurts their countries, right? And they get mad because America always wants to be a bully, or wants to do things that they call out but yet do themselves. So that's where I'll leave that. That's the way that I see it, and that's why I feel like America is so hypocritical, even when it comes to our leaders, even when it comes to our politics, because they say one thing but do another. Because if the 1994 crime bill was so fucking bad, right? Because it is, and they say that it is, then why haven't they done really too much about it? If it's so bad, if it caused so much mass incarceration, which they're really not reversing. They reverse some, but not really a lot. So if it's so bad, why haven't they really done anything about it, right? Because they know that some of the moves that they've done on our people are bad, but they don't remove them, right? They know qualified immunity is bad, but do they remove it? No, they just make it stronger. Because that's why they don't like educated people. They don't like people that honestly want to fight the system on a level playing field. And I'm okay fighting it alone, because I know that at the end of the day, I would rather have people that want to put in the work than to have the people that just want to follow, because that's what we have, a nation of followers, not a nation of leaders. Uneducated, undereducated followers, blind followers at that. And I was one of them. May 25th, 2020, I was one of them. Got my ass up off the couch from playing 2K and selling drugs in my community to trying to change my community for the better, instead of being a problem, being a solution, and trying to figure out what solutions are plausible and what aren't. Because I'll tell you right now, anything to do with the police department, of abolishing it or beyond reimagining it is about the only way we're going to get there. That's the only way we're going to get there. Damn, I never even heard of that. Yeah, the NAACP to me is a joke. And I'll continually to say that the NAACP is not for Black Americans. It's not at this point. I don't really feel that there's too many people, too many organizations that have an agenda that is about bettering Black Americans. I'm going to be 100 because I don't see it. It's always, you see stuff with BIPOC or POC. It's never just about Black. But when it comes to, things about, and I'm going to get into this later on down the line too, of like with Red Wing, they literally had, they were going to be, well, they were for a little while. They were one of the first, but if you did anything to a police officer because you didn't like them, it was a hate crime. So if you would have called them a pig, that was a hate crime. They literally got that passed because of the same thing. Literally what happened in Rochester is that you had their police chief author some legislation. Same thing happened, man. And here's the thing: when people don't call it out, they don't care because they're not educated to care. That's why our leaders aren't fighting it back. Our so-called leaders aren't fighting it back and doing African diaspora. And y'all niggas is going for it. That's the crazy part for me, is that I don't see nobody calling it out, because literally they're doing something about Black businesses, and there was only probably really 3 or 4 Black people. The rest were African. There's a difference, my nigga. That's where we need to stop it, because this is Black American history. This isn't Black history. This is Black American history, right? And people need to understand that our fights, our struggles, our histories are different. And that I'm not trying to say that to be mean or hateful, but I'm tired of my people getting pushed to the back, all for the simple fact of because our government considers you Black. No, fuck that. No, hell no. We've lost people over the fact of our skin color. And for the simple fact that, and that's why we have rights, because people got up and fought. You could bring up Marcus Garvey, they wouldn't even know who that is. Well, maybe to some degree, maybe. But I sit there and that's why I literally, when I have these conversations, that's why these people don't get back to me. Because when they don't know how to answer these questions. So anybody thinking that voting for Donald Trump is going to change anything, it's not. Maybe executive-wise. You might get some change at the border, but you still got to deal with a sanctuary city. You got some goofballs. Doesn't matter what the fuck he does at the border, because you still, okay, Chicago, I want to say this, right? And if anybody, tag Mark Carter in this, because this is my question, because every time I get into a space, it's never answered, right? Why does it matter if Trump is president? If you're a sanctuary city or state? Please answer me that. Please answer me that. Because if they're already there ain't nothing you can do about it, because those federal laws won't work in state. So please help me understand that. Nobody wants to answer that. Nobody. Doesn't matter about our border. Because if we're already sanctuary cities and states, what does it matter? The feds, and people got to understand what that means. What does it matter if the border changes and they close it down, right? But yet we're sanctuary cities and states. So you got what, like Illinois, Minnesota, California, some others, right? But what happens then? Because the only difference is, and this is what I want people to understand, these votes, when they get them to vote, are local, for local votes, not for federal, local, state offices. So call it what you want it, but the truth is the truth. You can't be mad at the truth. I'm just the messenger. They wrote the legislation, not me. I just don't agree with everything. Some of it I do, some of it I don't. Shit, this beat made me want to get up and start doing that Billy Bop. Hey, I'm in a reggae mood. And I'll end up talking about Bob Marley for the end of the month. I don't even know why this beat made me think about Marley. Hey. Yeah, man, but it's Black History Month. For real, because I don't understand. It just makes me sad that people don't understand or can't even comprehend what's going on legislation-wise. Because I would like some answers to my questions, and I guarantee it, these Negroes are going to run from them answers. For real, they're going to run from them. Because I'm going to tell you right now that some states, we've done it over with. We might as well come to the face of the fact that we're going to be sanctuary states. And I mean, I'm okay with it. I could care less. I've lived here in Minnesota my whole life. They ain't even want me here. So I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? I kind of feel how they feeling, but they choose to be over here. They wanted to, you know what I'm saying? So I can't really say that either, because not everybody wanted to be over here. Some of them, you know, shit going on in their countries and our refugees or they go like, damn, nigga, why you always just said? Because, man, I don't want to be disrespectful, because I do have family members that, you know, I do love very deeply. So I do want to be, you know, culturally sensitive and respectful to people. I don't want to. I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all when it comes to none of this. I'm trying to educate, liberate. That's what this is about. I want people to understand that we do have rights. We do have options that we, the people, have. And that's what I want you to ask these people, right? So if we vote for Trump, what does that do for us locally if we're a sanctuary state? Because ICE can't come in there. They're going to get rid of your ICE facilities. And not people going to be like, oh, what? Yes, look it up. Look at the legislation. The border don't matter at this point anymore, man. They already, if somebody's going to do something to America, they already here. Just pray. That's all I can say. If something is going to happen in America, right? Some domestic terrorist, and you hear what I'm saying? Domestic terrorist situation. They were already here. They didn't come across the border. They were born in an American hospital. And what's sad is that immigrant people are going to take the fall for it and blame for it. But it's gonna be some 1919 type shit. And because there's an influx at the border, as they say, and they're gonna get the blame for it. And then they'll find out in 30, 40 years down the road that what really happened, like how we're finding out about shit today, in today's times, about, oh wow, that really didn't happen like that. Yeah. Then they'll come out with the truth. There'll be a big old FBI expose, be all over the media, the news, 30 years down the road of, oh, they killed Black America. This how they're showing us now of Judah and the Black Messiah, or how they killed Malcolm, or how they bombed the whole black community, how there was lynching parties, how they were able to walk into jails and just go hang a nigga out in front of on the front lawn. They still doing that shit today, just differently. Because what you just see in what was that? I think Alabama, Mississippi, somewhere where 215 bodies were buried behind the police station. Like, damn, that's how y'all doing it. Or in Alabama, the president is taking that shit tripped me out, man. It's like you some sick ass motherfucker. Our government is sick. How they just organ harvesting our. I'm like, how'd you go? It don't even make you want to vote anymore, man, at this point. Like, I'm gonna be a buck with it. Because it just seems like don't nobody want to be Mr. Do-Right out here. When they become elected, they see all that money, they just want to bend over and be like, but at least just give me some Astroglide, some KY jelly with it.
What? Yeah.
For real, that's how I feel, bro. Like on some real shit. It's like how Cat Williams be talking about how people be doing the dress, so, you know, with their integrity and values.
No, I feel you. I hear
Anyway,
you.
when it comes to elected officials, some of it, they, you know, they don't want the lube, but some do want the lube. You know what I'm saying? Some don't want it, some want it. Some will fight against it, and then when the ones that fight against it are the ones they throw out.
Big facts.
They find a way to get you out of there.
Yep.
They'll call you an alcoholic, a woman beater. They'll call you a
molester, whatever they can. Yep.
Right, he a crackhead. He like prostitutes.
They could just say you're crazy.
Yeah.
Mental health.
Right, and the next thing you know, your whole political career is done, and was none of that the truth. You know what's crazy is reading these FBI files, right? This shit really blows my mind. I'm gonna say that, you know, especially reading about I know I'm in a pro COINTEL, whatever the hell that shit. You can say it for me.
COINTELPRO.
Yeah, because I was literally reading about, and you have. No,
I mean it actually stands for something. I forget. COINTELPRO. It's cooperative in.
Intel something.
Yeah,
Robert on here, he know all that.
Yeah,
shit.
He knows. Put the full name out, Robert. I always forget, but counterintelligence program or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, counterintelligence program.
But the shit that they were doing in Minneapolis, man, and that there were the reports about the new left and all of this other shit, like the Operation Hoodwink and all these other things. It's like, God, how are not people calling it out? The gap. All the GOP is bad at hiding their butt stuff. Reagan, Hoover, right?
Yep, exactly. Counterintelligence program. I thought so. Yep.
Right. And that's what's crazy is like they sit there and do all these things and we pay all these things because I don't know how many papers I've sat here and read about FBI or read FBI shit, and reading some of that shit is like, they allowed that? Like, damn, they really didn't like us. Like, when it came to Martin, the only reason why they allowed Martin to do the things that he was doing is because of the dirt they had on him.
Yep, they ain't like his ass at all. They couldn't.
Right.
They couldn't wait to get his ass out.
No, and then the things that they did to Malcolm, I will tell you right now, is one of the reasons why they hated Malcolm so much. Is that they didn't have nothing on him beyond the things that he did prior to being in prison. Yeah, that shit's crazy how they were getting away with a lot of shit. I will say that. They were getting away with a lot of shit back in the day. CIA, because they were literally, even the mafia. I think about the times of the 90s. That was a wild time. The 80s, especially the 70s, 80s. I mean, I was live during the late, but I don't remember none of that. But like the 80s and 90s, I remember. This shit was like wild, wild west. You seen people getting cars blown up. Motherfuckers going in there having the whole heads chopped off, beheaded. You just didn't see that shit in the news like that. That's the only difference now is social media. The news gets out quicker. Because the shit that's going on in California right now, this would have been 1990. We wouldn't have been hearing about this for like another 3 weeks. All that.
You got a point, right?
Historic rainfall and shit. It would have been with the newspapers or radio. Yeah, it'd have been weeks before we would have even heard about this shit. So that's the same way of even going, right, underworld. No, you are definitely on point, Robert. And that's the one crazy thing. There's so much information out here that will show you of why the world is chaotic the way that it is. Especially when it comes to America, because I can tell you right now that, and this is why I'm telling you that if y'all are in Mark Carter's spaces, ask him, what does voting Trump, who has only executive power, going to do in our sanctuary state? If you can't change nothing locally, it doesn't matter what you do presidentially, because I'll tell you right now, why do you think I called this episode The Border Battles? Because I wanted people to understand what the hell I'm talking about. Because you're going to have states that aren't sanctuary states, and you're going to have states that are sanctuary. So, make it make sense to me. I don't know, for some reason I started jamming again. I don't know why.
Nah, that went with it though. I felt that.
But I like that ass though, man. It's like, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful or trying to be, I'm just trying to give people the raw, man. And I'm trying to keep it as respectful as possible. And honestly, my anger and frustration isn't at people. It's at politicians, right? It's at a system. It's at a political establishment. It's not the people. It's the establishment that I'm frustrated with. See, don't get mad at the player, get mad at the game, right? But to get rid of that player, I got to change the game. And that's what we need to start doing, is changing the game so that the minions, the puppets, aren't allowed to do the things that they're doing. Because I'll tell you right now, Minnesota and Illinois, there's some states that if y'all really want change, you're going to have to move. You're going to have to. I'm going to be 100, because there's no way that you're going to be able to turn certain areas to get enough people to legislation. And what people don't understand is, especially in Minnesota, watch, you have a lot of politicians retiring, resigning, are just not running anymore. So you got to look at that, because there's a lot of metro areas in the Twin Cities that could really flip. And I'm talking about that were Republican and will switch Democrat. Because I'll tell you right now that a lot of, I even think possibly in the rural areas, that some areas that were Republican could potentially even switch to Democratic. Because they're going to put a lot of money in this race. I'm telling you, I can already feel it. The way that I see this money already being talked about and discussed right now in February. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This shit's going to be pathetic. Because hell, you're going to see all this money thrown around. But people, they're going to be like, but damn, we ain't getting no change. Whose fault is that? Because it ain't mine. Because I'm calling it out. It ain't gonna be mine, because I'm calling it out. That's why I don't even get mad when shit go on, because I didn't vote that way. That's y'all. Y'all voted for that shit. Y'all wanted it. But
Negro, you still here though.
But I'll teach you how to change it. Where am I at? Minnesota?
Yeah, you still alive.
Man, I know, because I can't leave. I can't go anywhere, man.
Right.
I love Minnesota. It's my man. I've tried to leave and I always come back.
Man, that's how I am about Pennsylvania, so I feel you.
Well, I'm just stuck here. I love it here too much. And honestly,
I love Pennsylvania too much. It's like I don't want to leave either.
I'm a fighter too, so I like to fight. So maybe that's why I stay too, because these people think, nah, I'm a fighter. I ain't giving up Minnesota so easy. All right, the fat cat, yeah. They definitely about to be feeding. No, they definitely about to be feeding. Feasting, I mean. They're gonna be eating. Nope. That's what's crazy. All this money being talked about, and there's not gonna be any metrics. It's like, people talk about what we talked about last week with the city council with VTOL and all, and the homelessness shit, right? Nobody brought up the fact that they said they got an additional $2 million for this year, and it was going to only help 137 extra people. $2 million only going to help 137 people? Where the hell y'all put? How y'all helping them?
That's insane.
Right. But then you got to think about it, because then I looked up the organization. Over 72% of their budget goes to administration costs and fees.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. Yep.
Right.
I
understand it. Because you got to pay the people on top of the people they get feed. So, yeah. But I was like, that shit. But that's what people don't understand either.
And what's crazy though? The people that are employees in that kind of stuff and do the actual footwork, that do the most work, are either volunteers or they get paid the least amount, which is crazy. So the people that are in the commercials, or the people at at the top, at the very, very top, they're the ones that's making the money from this. It's just, everything's like Robert was saying, everything's a fucking racket. True.
No. And if
it don't make dollars, it don't make sense in this corporation.
Right. But that's how cities are ran too. That's how our country is ran.
Because we literally are a corporation, bro.
Right. That's
everything has to be modeled after that. Yeah.
Right. So you sit here, I just saw something, an interview, or an article about the guy from Israel, the prime minister, whatever he is, Netanyahu.
Netanyahu.
Yeah, right.
Yahoo!
So he's mad at Biden because
they ain't gonna be butt buddies no more. Biden has been held accountable, and he's faltering. I saw an article. I think I posted it in our group chat the other day about the fact that Biden's now, Biden's coming, because remember, look at it this way: Netanyahu's the big bully, but he's the little brother. And Biden's the big brother that has no more power, or he's created a monster. So Biden's going up to him with his shoulders down, his head looking down, like, "Hey, buddy, I can't help you kill Palestinians no more." And Netanyahu's like, "What? You can't what?" Yeah.
No, because all the statements that he's came out with is getting rid of Palestinians in Gaza. They don't even say Hamas anymore. They just say Palestinians.
Mm-hmm.
So I already
public opinion has changed so much.
Right.
You're right. Let's say out of 10 articles, I'm reading maybe 4 to 6 now that label it Israel Hamas war. Everyone else now is calling it what it is, or somewhat closer to. So that is a sign.
Right. And the truth will prevail. It always
for real.
People want to fight it or not because.
But I want people to pay attention to this though. How the media will label something so that you only get certain takeaways from it. Because if people are labeling it Israel Hamas war, that's going to legitimize that, that it's a Hamas or that Palestinians are equal footing in this. No, it's a fucking genocide. It's not a war. It's a war on people.
Right, because how can you punish a whole entire ethnic group for what one fraction of people are
exactly
doing? It's the same thing what they did here with BLM, though. It's the same thing that they did with the Black Panthers. If you were black and you thought like them, you were part of them.
Yep.
It didn't matter, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's how we see it today. So how is that fair when you literally are sticking up for the right thing? Because I'll tell you right now, hold on, let me get this out, bro. If people listen to Malcolm X, go back into the 60s, the early 60s, when he gave some of his speeches and he was asked about Palestine and Israel and what he says, because a lot of that shit, I didn't even understand it until now, what the Nakba and all of that. I know I said it wrong, but what all of that stuff was, it blew my mind, man, because if they were sitting there talking about them things way before we were even born.
Right. Yep.
Come on. And they were adults during that time. So why aren't we listening to our elders? Fuck what a Jacob Meyer Frey. Fuck what your favorite rappers say because he Jewish. You know what I'm saying? And that's the crazy part. The only reason why DJ Khaled won't come out and say something for his people is because of the fact if he does, he gonna be broke.
Money. It's all about the Benjamins. Because remember, Diddy has been making money off of fucking Biggie for longer than Biggie was alive.
Right.
So think about it. How long have they been painting the same narrative for at least 2 generations? We've got one full generation that has been indoctrinated with a narrative, self-hate. It's the same thing that happens to our community as Black people. Self-hate. They're trying to teach the world, hate Palestinians because they're terrorists, just like 9/11 days. We're supposed to hate all Arab people because they were terrorists. No, we harmed our own country to legitimize to a war waged against the whole area of the planet so that we can legitimize taking oil and controlling a narrative for 20 more fucking years. And guess what? We couldn't control that narrative for 20 more fucking years because we pulled out of those places. And guess what? 20 years have not passed. Actually, 20 years have passed since 9/11. But we haven't held on to the power controlling the world much. Like it's waned. And how do I put it? The level of power that we don't have anymore doesn't match the narrative that we put out to our country to tell our people, oh, we're the most powerful. We're really not anymore. And public opinion has changed. And we're in a global world economy. News travels fast. So other people in other countries can tell, hey, American, the rest of the world hates you. And we'll go, hey, Mr. Biden, why does the world hate us? And Biden goes, oh, no, the world doesn't hate us. The world loves us. And we're like, yeah, motherfucker, you're lying. We know you're lying. That's kind of where we are now, is my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I agree with it. I think people are waking up that, we have been indoctrinated to be Black victims. And once you realize that and become a Black victor, you see that the system.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Of how it was indoctrinated. No, and what's crazy is there's a book out here that I've read and I've talked about it before. And I want to thank the person that gave it to me, Juladora, who was on Twitter. Go follow her, please. She is a great person for a wide vast of knowledge. But this book is called Black Victim to Black Victor. And Black Americans are constantly lied to about the source of their community's issues in an effort to profit off their pain and to make sure that they never leave the mindset of the victim. In order to move forward in American society, Black people must be critical of all sectors of Black culture and the people that profit off the mainstream Black victim messaging. I believe with honesty, love, ownership, and responsibility, Black Americans can leave behind the victim mentality for the true empowering victor mindset. Once victorhood is embraced, we can achieve a more peaceful union with the rest of American society and stop accepting conflict within the Black community as a normality. Now, this book woke me up. I'm not going to say woke me up, but it made me understand why we have the problems that we have in Black America and why we are so divided. And I will say I've had conversations with Adam Coleman, and great guy, kind of, similar stories, me and him. Well, I mean, different, we're different ages, whatever, but, of how came to see that BLM wasn't about empowering our, for the betterment of Black Americans. It wasn't bettering our communities. It wasn't empowering our communities. It was making them weaker. It was making more needy, more, you know what I'm saying? And when I read this book, I understood it. Because if you have people that are needy, they're always going to want something. And as long as you got that need for them, they're going to do whatever you want them to do. And that's what this is all about. And that's why, for me, I feel like with education, that's how you become that Black victor and stop becoming that Black victim. With self-education and understanding that the system is to indoctrinate and program you to be exactly what you're doing today, silent and complicit, and to normalize everything that is going on around you. And I'm gonna let John tell if he has anything to say.
Really, I just really appreciated this episode, especially like the second half of it. I really like where you're going with things, and it doesn't have to be this grand scheme of a topic or idea every episode, but it's just wonderful to be able to get to express our unique opinions on things every day and analyzing what we see, how we see it, how we feel about it. And I have faith and know that there are many other people out there that do agree, and what we say and feel does resonate with them because they see it and feel it too. When you see things such as the things that we've been discussing this episode and other episodes and other days, call it out, be vocal about it, talk with other people, ask questions. Do you see this too? Do you feel this way too? Because that's important. Having those epiphanies and those realizations can create the very much well needed dialogue that we do need to have. So I do appreciate these conversations, and I appreciate you providing the platform to be able to have these talks. So if you're watching and you're viewing and you're listening and you feel the need to share your opinion too, feel free to reach out to myself at theleonblock@gmail.com or Chaz, the Urban Conservative, at chazneil.theleonblock@gmail.com. We're available on any streaming platform, whether it's music, podcasting, or social media. You can reach out to us, and let's continue to have meaningful conversations and create a dialogue that can foster actual meaningful change in our communities, in our country, in our world. Because every day, every minute, every second that you're breathing in, that you're witnessing the things that's going on around you, you have the means to change too. You have the means to change the world around you. So just remember, the coffin is open until the case is closed. I'll leave it with that.
Man, that was deep. That was deep. That was deep. That was deep. So today we talked about border battles. And I'm not talking about down south, not talking about a border battle that is going on between countries or even between people. I'm talking about a border battle that is going on within our own borders of our own states. Go educate, go liberate, because for the simple fact, if we don't educate ourselves and we don't understand what's going on, we are going to be left behind, and there's not going to be anything that we are going to be able to do about it, because there is a time not a time. The time is now. We don't have time to be sitting around organizing and strategizing, right? We should have been doing that the last 4 years, because now we're at a critical point in time where we are going to get left behind, where we are not going to be able to get legislation to make it better so that we can drive down the street and not be racially profiled, that we can literally go to our apartment in the middle of the night, right? And them not mistake us to be a criminal because of the color of our skin. And that if we have a cell phone, that they don't think it's a gun or a Subway sandwich, right? So I'm going to leave it at that, because I don't want us to get left behind. I don't. I want people to educate, to liberate. So have a great Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. Go get a taco. So win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well. Y'all have a great Taco Tuesday.
Urban conservative.